Ready in the back, Debbie?
We are.
Ready, Jane? Okay, good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, July 26, 2023, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. I'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. You can join today's board meeting via phone. Dial 971-254-3149, conference ID 736-023-979. Audio capabilities are listen only and are offered on a best effort for the public. Our meeting is also live streamed, and you can join us by going online to tctvonline.com and click on live broadcasts. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned off. Thank you. Public comment. Those intending to provide public comment to the board may attend in person or email submissions to publiccomments@co.tillamook.or.us. Public comments received by 12 p.m. on Tuesday will be distributed to the board and posted online before the meeting and become part of the public record. You may also provide public comment virtually by registering ahead of time. To register, please email publiccomments@co.tillamook.or.us by 12 p.m. on the Tuesday prior to the board meeting. Public comments can also be mailed to the Board of Commissioners office at 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon 97141. For more information on public comment options, please visit the Board of Commissioners webpage. Debbie, do we have anyone signed up online for public comment?
No, we do not.
Thank you. All right, well, we've called the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome our guests, singular, and our guests online. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Yamamoto, will you lead us?
Absolutely.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we don't have any non-agenda items today, so we'll jump right into the legislative administrative agenda, starting with item 5, which is discussion and consideration of a professional services agreement with Roger Cook, PhD, LPC, for sex offender assessment and counseling services. With us, we have Lieutenant Bonnie Seaholm from the Sheriff's Office. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning,
Hi. Good morning. So this is for your consideration and approval for a professional service agreement with Dr. Roger Cook. He does provide sex offense specific assessments and treatment for the population that we supervise here at Community Corrections. We've had this contract in place, I want to say, for the last year, possibly two, so this is just to update that for an additional year. And other than that, there hasn't been any changes, but it has been a help. We started doing this because there was a barrier for justice-involved individuals that we supervise that have to participate in sex offense treatment or have an assessment. Insurance doesn't cover those costs, and so we pay this up front, and then we have those justice-involved individuals pay us back for the accountability piece. But this eliminates an immediate barrier for them to start participating in needed treatment.
That's terrific.
So I take it that this is all virtual then, meeting with Dr. Cook and the inmates or those affected?
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. So I take it it's all virtual.
We actually hold it in person.
Oh.
He comes to our facility here. It's for out of custody individuals that we supervise. And we did though this last winter, we actually got an owl and some technology set up at the ATV center. So if we have, bad weather or issues where Dr. Cook can't get here in person, then we're still able to hold it and we just do it virtually. But for the most part, it's always in person.
Okay, and that's good. I was wondering how that worked, and in person I think is a better situation. So apparently this has been working for the past year or so. So I'm in full support here.
As am I, and I think it's a good solution to eliminating the barrier that you were talking about, to be able to get people the assessment and treatment and services they need right away. So I appreciate that. All right,
Ready for a motion?
I think we are.
Madam Chair, in consideration of a professional services agreement with Roger Cook, PhD, LPC, for sex offender assessment and counseling services, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ani.
Thank you, Ani.
Thank you, commissioners.
Item 6, we'll invite Randy Thorpe up. It's discussion and consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with the Port of Tillamook Bay for placement and maintenance of Connex storage containers and equipment. We have Randy Thorpe, our emergency management director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Mr. Thorpe.
What we have here is a agreement that will take place between the county and with the Port of Tillamook Bay. And the purpose of this is that, as you're aware, the state has already placed 2 containers down there at the airport for their emergency assembly points. My thought is that if the county has their own container with supplies for the county during any types of emergencies, what better place than to put it with the other containers that we have here, so we have, one-stop shopping type of thing. So I approached Michelle down there, and of course the board is 100% behind emergency management in this county, and she said sure. She took it before their board last week, and they approved it and signed the agreement. And what this does is going to allow us to place the container there, and we'll maintain it, we'll take care of it, we'll stock it. There's no expenses incurred by either us or the board. There will be no charging for us to have it down there in that area. The only charge will be is we're going to have to do a little site prep work down there, and that's going to be it. I'm going to be utilizing the Homeland Security grant in order to purchase supplies to put in it. And so hopefully, within a year, we'll have another 40-foot container full of stuff that we need. And this will be for countywide emergencies. And so it'll kind of become a central point of distribution for the county. This is what my hope is. And hopefully it'll continue to grow and the relationship will continue to flourish, and it'll be pretty exciting, I think. Plus, put in a plug for our one-day event tomorrow that's down there, that the state's coming down and putting on a one-day event to open up the containers that are there, see what's in them, put up a few tents, and kind of see what types of really cool stuff that they brought down. So I guess it's also, when I get kicked out of the courthouse, I've got a place to go. So
When I get kicked out.
I'll put in a table and chair, air conditioner, and then I'll be all set down there. So anyway, with this, they say the board's already signed it. At the top of it has open time for the date and time of execution, and that would need to be filled out by us and date that the commissioners sign the agreement. That's why the top of that is open, is because we were waiting to find out for sure exactly when it was going to be fully executed, and use that as the date entered into on the agreement.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for your work on this. I think it's very exciting. We've made tremendous progress in this area, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the training tomorrow. The state's coming down, as you said, to help us learn how to set up the assembly point. For folks who are watching who may not have been following this story, a couple months ago, the state delivered a couple of, are they 20-foot?
20-foot.
20-foot Connex containers full of emergency supplies, the kinds of supplies that we'll need to set up an assembly site, ops center, emergency ops center in a severe emergency here at the coast. And it's the first of its kind in the state, and so we're the trial community, which I'm very grateful for, and that's largely due to Randy's advocacy. And so there's all kinds of stuff in there, but we don't know what all is in there yet. Tomorrow is the unveiling, and in the last meeting we had with the state, they said, you people need to learn how to set this up because we won't be here when that happens. So tomorrow, we'll show up in our jeans and work shoes and learn how to set up the tents and the containers and the supplies. And then later in August, we'll have an actual drill with the assembly site setup, looking at how it would work. Like there'll be a triage center and a check-in center and a center for lost people and a communication center and a medical center and all that kind of stuff. So we'll learn more about that in August, but tomorrow we learn to set it up. So, but what we're talking about today is the container that you're going to place on the port property that's just for county supplies. That's not the state provided supplies,
No.
but what we need for
Right.
for us.
And whatever other type of supplies we happen to acquire over the next little bit, we can store in that. But my point right now is I'm gonna try to get foodstuffs in, some sleeping bags, cots, generators, tables, chairs, water purification, just a lot of the basic essentials, and just start building up our cache here. And hopefully this is just gonna be the first of a few of the larger containers that we'll place around the county to help supplement our little sheds that are out there with our volunteer groups. I think it would be really helpful to have some major storage that the county can rely on.
Agreed. Great work, thank you.
Perfect, and your last few comments there are exactly where I was going with this. You're doing a great job in really reaching out and bringing in a lot of donated supplies, working with the state. Tillamook County is probably one of the most advanced states when it comes to emergency management and preparing for big disasters. Of course, we have more disasters in Tillamook County than almost anywhere else in the state. But again, you're doing a great job in bringing in supplies. And I was just going to remind you, please don't forget, we've got two major groups, Emergency Volunteer Corps of Nehalem Bay in the South Tillamook County EVC, but many of the smaller communities in Tillamook County also are working diligently. So as you are looking for supplies that can be donated to Tillamook County, my concern is during a big Cascadia style event. We're not going to be able to move around the county. We're really not. And having a major cache is important. Those Connex containers are a great start. But again, I think the primary word there is start. We're going to really have to start spreading supplies around the county because people will be isolated for quite some time moving forward.
Yeah, I'm really surprised how advanced some of these communities are that I've been meeting with. It's like, wow, I didn't realize. I was out at Cape Mears. They put down earthquake screws. I mean, their shed will stand where everything else falls down, and it's about the only shed that I know of in the world that is earthquake proof. Because I was looking at them, was talking with them, and you know they have this on concrete pylons, but they actually put the little earthquake screws into the ground. I'm like, wow! You talk about being ready. Plus, it's got a great view of the ocean from where it's at. So, but
Way on a hill.
Yeah. It'll probably be the only shed that isn't sidewards during a major earthquake. So but they're really doing some great work out there, which I was unaware of a year ago that they were so. Our communities are really starting to move forward on their own. So, and
they need to.
And the county's here to help them and push them and guide them and steer them in the right direction. So
that's your job, and you're doing a great job. So I appreciate it very much.
You bet.
And I agree completely that the communities need their own supplies because they may very well be isolated. Some of them definitely will be. And I'm encouraged about the state assembly site because what the state intends is not for the assembly site at the port to just be a place for people to stay, but also to be a staging area for the state to bring in supplies that they can come to Tillamook to the airport, and then they can take supplies to the isolated communities and also take out injured people. So we're really the pieces are starting to come together in a really great way.
again, I think the state finally realized, and I know you were pushing them in that direction, Randy, that the airport at the Port of Tillamook Bay is probably going, during, again, a Cascadia-style event, it's going to be one of the very few coastal airports that are operational. So that's why the state is looking at that, which is perfect. As a distribution point, I think it's going to be great. So, perfect.
Terrific. I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with the Port of Tillamook Bay for the placement and maintenance of Connex storage containers and equipment, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Remember to date it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7 is discussion and consideration of an interagency agreement with Community Action Team, Inc., Head Start, HHS 2324-003 for well child exams and dental exams. And with us, we have Marlene Putman, Administrator of Health and Human Services. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have been providing the medical and dental support and visits for Tillamook Head Start for a number of years through Community Action Team. And this is just one of those agreements to renew and update the agreement. This one runs August 1 of 2023 through July 31st, 2024. The county provides access to medical and dental services just to make it a little easier for people to have access and make sure that we're able to schedule the appointments with them. We work with the Head Start staff. The fee schedule that we've agreed upon for the limited services that are provided are listed on Exhibit A. So we've worked through those year after year. The responsibility of Head Start is, again, just to help coordinate and make sure we have the information that we need in order to see the kids and families that participate in Head Start. So that's basically it for this agreement. It's not changed really from past years, other than occasionally we do update fees.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad we can provide medical and dental exams to kids in Head Start. I think that's great.
And I agree. Marlene, you do such great work at the health center, but working with kids. I mean, this is, to me, this is one of the most important things this county can do. And not only medical, but it includes dental, which is really, really important. So again, Marlene, thank you for what you do, and I am in full support here.
We're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an interagency agreement with Community Action Team, Inc., Head Start, HHS 23/24-003 for well child exams and dental exams, I would move approval.
And I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, Marlene.
Thank you, Marlene.
Our next 4 items, I believe, are with Chris Lady, Director of Public Works. Item 8 is discussion and consideration of change order number 1 to contract 6340, contract for goods with Knife River Press Dress for the Illingsworth Creek Bridge deck materials. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So there's a little bit of a story to this one.
Oh.
The Illingsworth Bridge is one that was designed, we ran into a little bit of right-of-way issues. This is being managed by the Salmon Superhighway. Salmon Superhighway also received a grant for beams for Green Creek, which is currently under construction. The grant associated with those beams they had to purchase and deliver those beams by June 30. If they missed that date, they wouldn't get the money. So we reprioritized the Illingsworth Creek Bridge to the Green Creek in order to make sure that arrived on time. The Illingsworth is still in, the Illingsworth Creek Bridge is still a little bit in a right-of-way issue. So those beams will actually, the 60-foot beams just shy, will serve as emergency beams until such time that we can actually build that bridge. So recommend to extend the contract out to August 31st.
Okay.
Perfect. I mean, thinking outside the box, it's interesting that the federal government, state governments, they have time limits on when these projects have to start or have certain progress reports. And thinking outside the box like you've done here with Salmon Superhighway is terrific, Chris. The partnership that you have with Salmon Superhighway, I mean, we're getting so much work done here in Shelby County that we would not be able to afford.
True.
So this is terrific, and I appreciate all your outside the box thinking on this to make these projects happen.
And so are you thinking that you'll have the right-of-way issues taken care of by August 31st?
No, so those right-of-way issues, so the grant associated with that is tied to stream reconstruction in top of the bridge. So it's using, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and other money that's tied to fish and stream habitat. So in order for that bridge to be built with the money, stream habitat needs to be used as well. So that has a problem with the landowner. And normally we just build a bridge in the right of way, but this requires work to be done on private property in order to build that. So it is, we're probably a number of years out before we can actually build that bridge. Or if it were to fail, then that would be a different story. And that would be a culvert to bridge project.
Gotcha. Okay.
Another culvert to bridge project.
Okay. So with this contract, we're securing the goods that we're going to need to eventually build the bridge.
That's correct. And they'll serve as emergency beams unless we build the bridge, unless we build Illingsworth before the emergency beams are need to be built.
Okay.
So,
All right.
emergency bridge.
Okay. Thank you. Anything
Madam
else?
Chair? No.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
We are.
Madam Chair, in consideration of change order number 1 to contract number 6340, contract for goods with Knife River Prestress for the Illingsworth Creek Bridge Deck Materials Project, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Item 9 is discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a contract for the Fairview Road Huey Creek Culvert Construction Project. Chris?
So this culvert was the one that we took out last fall because we were concerned that the culvert would blow out. So we had actually removed the culvert, and there's a big hole in the road, and we've been detouring people onto Highway 6. So last fall we took that out. The timing is also important here because Green Creek Bridge is under construction, taking a culvert, turning it into a bridge. All that detour rock material that builds up the detour, all that rock gravel that is there, one of the contractors that bid on this, we want to award it to, will take that gravel and use it for Fairview. So what we have here is we're not waiting on any parts. We purchased all the parts. It's not actually a bridge. It becomes a very large culvert, multi-plate, where they actually bolt up the culvert. They don't always become bridges, although most do. So I had estimated the construction cost estimate at $142,000, and our high bid was $206,000. Our low bid was $129,000, and rounding to changes. So the notice of intent to award would be to K&B. It needs 7 days out there for people to protest it. So next Wednesday, it'll be a request for the commissioners to sign a contract. But because this notice of intent to award is 7 days, we would actually request that you sign it the Thursday following next Wednesday, the day after next board meeting, so we get our full 7 days. And this is not an uncommon thing, and Rachel has. This is, something that we've done in the past. That gets us our full 7 days. So recommend to notice of intent to award to K&B for this work.
Terrific. Do you have a projected timeline for construction? I ask because community members have asked me, hey, when are you guys going to fix that Fairview Road?
So yes, we have, so it's Green Creek The detour is supposed to be done towards the end of about the third week of August, middle of the third week of August. And once that bridge is built, they can remove the detour road, the detour beams, which coincidentally is actually moving up to Sampson with all this shuffling around. So the contractor needs to be out of the water by September 15th because the in-water work will be done. So realistically, we're probably looking at they just need to be out of the water, we're probably looking at the end of September.
Okay. Well, it's good to have a date on that, thank you.
And Chris, your explanation there just shows how these emergency beams that you have in stock are so important. I mean, they really are, to keep roads open, keep people moving, have access to their properties, things of that nature. And you move them around after you're done. You work on one and then you move them to another, and that's great. That's thinking ahead, which I appreciate very much. Ready for a
I
motion?
think we are.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a contract for the I'm reading the wrong one. Number 9. Let me start over again. In consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a contract for the Fairview Road Huey Creek Culvert Construction Project. This is board order number 23-050. I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of notice of intent to award a contract for the Neocani paving project 2023. Chris?
So the Neocani paving consists of 3 roads. Before we would do that, when we start looking at projects that are to the far north and the far south, there's a great opportunities to contract pave because we buy asphalt here in Tillamook, and to go further south, it might make more sense to pull out Lincoln City or Seaside, which really slows us down as opposed to bringing somebody out of Seaside or Lincoln City into Tillamook. So these outer ranges we tend to try to contract out. So the Neocani paving project consists of Beulah Access Road, and 2nd Street. So about 6 years ago-ish, we had paved Beulah Road. And it only got one lift of asphalt across top of it. It needed a second lift. So it was always the intent that we would go back in and do Beulah access, or the Beulah Road. And when we did that, then that would have solved the problem. It kept getting on the back burner. So we contracted it out this time. We did not know how much the asphalt was going to be either in the North County or the South County. And we'll talk about Slab Creek in just a minute. So we put this out with Beulah and Beulah Access Road for the base bid. And if the money was available, then we would go after 2nd Street. 2nd Street is in the Indian Gap area, and it was about the only road that didn't get paved when they had paved the Indian Gap Road. So it was kind of an outstanding one. So after opening up bids for Slab Creek and after opening up the bids for Neocani, they both come out of a capital improvement or capital general ledger code. So we looked at these and we decided this is a good price. My estimate on that was $181,000. We had 3 total bids. The high bid was, my estimate was $181,000. The highest bid was $190,000, and the low bid was $157,000. Again, rounded terms. So recommend notice of intent to award. And that would be a contract would be signed not next Wednesday, but the day following next Wednesday. This gives everybody an opportunity to protest if they so choose.
Terrific. I'm thinking about Slab Creek Road. I used to live in South Tillamook County, and my son went to Nescoin Valley School for a couple of years, and so I drove Slab Creek Road every single day. Way back when there were potholes the size of small cars. So I destroyed a couple tires on that road. So it makes me smile that we're taking care of that road. And I think it's beautiful for one thing, but also well used by people in the area. And so I'm glad that we're paving that road.
It's also an emergency access road when the road over Cascade Head. It's
Right,
snowed in or blocked by trees or something like that.
For sure.
So it's important.
Yes.
And we're talking about our next item. Okay.
all right,
Ready for a motion?
yes.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a contract for the Neoconi Paving Project 2023, I would move approval.
And I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Now, on to Slab Creek Road. Discussion and consideration of an order in the matter of notice of intent to award a contract for the Slab Creek South Paving Project 2023. Chris,
So if I could share my screen.
please.
So while that button is getting put together, I'll give you kind of the rundown as far as what the bid tabs were. There we go. Share. Pull that PDF back up. There we go. Are you looking at a map right now?
Yes.
Okay,
Not
perfect.
yet on the big screen.
Oh, sorry.
Let's wait a second.
It should be showing up anytime now. If not, I'm going to change the screen to my next screen. So I'll share.
So I was seeing it on my laptop, Chris. It's just that in the room here, for some reason, our screens in the room take a little bit longer.
Okay.
So
So,
again, I'm seeing the map
Yeah.
on my laptop, but not yet on our big screens.
so Slab Creek was also the other one where it's, looking to see what is a good cost on this one. And we had a base bid and we had an alternate bid. So combining Slab Creek South and the Neoconi roads, we ended up, in my budget, I put $300,000 for contracted paving. The combined total of these two is actually $323,000. So because it's a capital project, we pull approximately $23,000 out of our vehicle fund in order to pay for this. And we think that the prices are good. So the needs are there. Some of the money we hold in our equipment and vehicle purchase, we try to target opportunities, and we try to be a little high on that, so we have money that we can shuffle to pay for things such as this. So the Slab Creek South paving project, my estimate for the base bid and the additive alternative, the grand total was $247,000 was my estimate. Our high bid was $340,000. Our low bid was $166,000. And the middle bid was $274,000. So the price that we received for road and driveway, because they're coming out of Lincoln City, was a good price. So if you look on the map, you can see the darker, the red colors on top of that orange. The sections A, B, and C is what we intend to pave. Previously, a number of years ago, from Highway 101 in had been paved, also by road and driveway. In this case, we have 3 bridges. We don't want to add any more weight on the bridges, so there is some grinding work that would take place. So they're grinding on top of 3 bridges in order to remove the excess asphalt and put new asphalt in. And that's part of what this cost is associated with, is grinding of 3 bridges. So I recommend approving the notice of intent to award for road and driveway.
Thank you.
Wow, it's interesting, all the things you have to consider, Chris, such as the weight of additional asphalt on a bridge, necessitating some grinding to make sure you don't exceed the weight limits. I mean, that's amazing you have to go to that extent. But this is Tillamook County, and we need to do what we need to do. So, Chris, again, I appreciate your thinking here, and I'm in full support.
Terrific. I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an order in the matter of a notice of intent to award a contract for the Slab Creek South Paving Project 2023. This is board order number 23-052. I would move approval.
And I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Item 12 is discussion and consideration of an out-of-state travel request for Don Allgaier to attend the American Library Association Core Forum Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana, October 18th, 2023 through October 22nd, 2023. With us, we have Don Allgaier, Library Director. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Good morning, Don.
I'm doing well, thank you. You have before you a request for out-of-state travel to the American Library Association Core Forum in October in New Orleans, and that is a opportunity to talk about the administration of libraries. That's what CORE typically focuses in on, is how libraries work. It is also a professional obligation for me as a member of the board of directors for the core division of the American Library Association. So good chance to connect with colleagues throughout the country, as well as to hear about best practices for how libraries administrate. Glad to answer any questions about the travel, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you can go to this, and I think it's I appreciate your service for libraries at a national level, and I think it really illustrates the quality of our leadership here in Tillamook County, that we have somebody serving in the national level at the American Library Association, so thank you.
And thank you again, Don. I'm in full support here. These travel expenses are not something we want to do, but you learn so much at these national conferences, and you get to meet your peers and figure out who's doing the good things, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So much goes on in that. I just got back from Austin. I didn't get back till 11:30 last night, but again, it's valuable work that you're doing, and I appreciate it very much, and I'm in full support.
Terrific. I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of an out-of-state travel request for Don Allgaier to attend the American Library Association Core Forum Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana, 10/18/23 to 10/22/23. I would move approval.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Item 13 is discussion and consideration of a limited use agreement with Tillamook Peoples Utility District for the Cape Kiwanis parking lot for utility purposes. Rachel Haggerty, Chief of Staff.
Good morning. Tillamook County needs to secure an easement with Tillamook PUD for new infrastructure that we're putting in at the Cape Kiwanis parking lot as part of the Kiwanis Corridor project. Because the parking lot property is encumbered by Land and Water Conservation Fund Act, the act, because of funds that they put into improvements in the Cape Kiwanis parking lot some time ago, we are not able to execute the traditional utility easement that you've seen before that Tillamook PUD provides us to execute. However, they are able to, OPRD provided a template of what they have used in other jurisdictions to acquire easements, and Tillamook PUD reviewed that, and we negotiated some of the terms with council, and before you is basically a utility easement. It just looks a little different because of the encumbrance of that act. So this is a utility easement for work in the Kiwanis Corridor project.
Okay.
And there's no consideration of it, no fee.
Okay.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.
It's amazing the steps we have to take in order to do things that we would normally just do, or we would like to do maybe without an easement or a permit. But because there are other monies involved, other departments involved, state agencies involved, and it gets very complex. It does. And so, Rachel, I appreciate you guiding this through with PUD and making it work. And again, I appreciate it very much.
As do I. It's an exciting project, and it is complicated. I agree completely. If I'm thinking about paving a parking lot, that's one thing. But this is utilities and sewer and a new bathroom, and it's a very large project. So I appreciate you shepherding it forward. I think we're ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, in consideration of a limited use agreement with Tillamook People's Utility District for the Cape Kiwanda parking lot for utility purposes, I would move approval.
I second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Perfect.
All right. Do we have board concerns this morning?
Not really. Since I do have the public watching, I hope you don't mind if I take a quick moment. Had some great success in Austin, Texas. I was there for the NACO, the National Association of Counties annual meeting. One very important piece of work. I know you've heard me talk incessantly about the NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout and the implementation plan that FEMA is going through. And for the past 3 years, I've been able to pass a resolution at NACO about the NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout, asking FEMA to really include the local jurisdictions as they develop these new rules. And it passed unanimously all 3 times. This time, NACO has asked me to, instead of doing this as a continuing resolution, to do a platform change for NACO, which elevates the proposal in the eyes of NACO and hopefully the legislature. And I was able to get that passed at NACO. So
Congratulations.
we have a lot going on, and I do want to mention also within the past month, because of help from our legislators in Washington, D.C., on putting pressure on FEMA, Tillamook County is now listed as a cooperating agency with FEMA. So we are required to be at the table with FEMA as they move forward with the NEPA process and the environmental impact process moving forward. So again, we're finally seeing some movement forward on the NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout. Where it's going to go, nobody knows at this point, but things are looking up for the NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout in Tillamook County. So we'll be at the table for the next 18 months to 2 years, and hopefully make some changes.
That is great news.
It's exciting. It is.
Would you mind talking for a minute about what it means for the NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout to be a platform issue? What does a platform issue mean?
So normally at this national conference, there were like 100 and some resolutions, and there were like 23 platform changes. So a resolution has to be renewed every year in order for it to remain active. And there are, gosh, I don't know, there are probably 300, 400, 500 resolutions that continue on. But there are only 50, 60, 70 actual platform changes. And what happens when you have a platform item at NACO, again, it elevates the responsibility of our legislative people at NACO to really go out and talk to the legislature about these things. So again, it just elevates the idea of the issues with this NOAA Fisheries FEMA buyout. I honestly believe it's going to place more pressure on FEMA, especially as they roll this out nationwide. And one of the great things I was able to explain to the board at NACO was that, yes, we're in a position now, because of our legislators, we are a cooperating agency. And so I'm telling people nationwide now, as FEMA rolls out this buyout across the nation, this is what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to be a cooperating agency, sit at the table with FEMA as they work through these issues, because this is very onerous stuff. It is. And it's going to affect every state in the union, some much more than others. So this is kind of a warning shot across the bow, not only at FEMA, but other states, because they, just like here, I mean, I've been working on this in Oregon for 8 years now, 7 years, and it's not until very recently that the counties in Oregon are really starting to pay attention. They see now what it can do, and that's the message I'm trying to send nationwide. Rather than wait till they get to the very end, they need to be involved as early as possible. And I think with this platform change now at NACO, I think this is elevating the issue so that states are going to pay attention.
That's great. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Well, I'm putting Rachel on the spot here. I didn't talk to you about this first, but I wonder if you'd like to talk about your experience at the NACO conference.
It was my first NACO conference, and I go to a couple conferences a year, one or two, and they all talk about, there's always the connections with colleagues and learning from each other, so that's great at all the conferences. And this had that. What was different about this that was really inspiring was being a part of a body that is informing change at the federal level. That I haven't been a part of that, and it was pretty impressive to see all the energy and the leadership in the room of the change that can be informed from that body. So that was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you did that.
I talked to Rachel several times during the conference, and she was really excited about all the things that were going on there. And I know there's going to be things that she is bringing back to Tillamook County, and she's going to be working on these things almost immediately, which is really exciting. It is. That's why these conferences are so important. They really are. Again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are others across the nation. You can learn from them and apply things here. And I'm sure Rachel has explained with Tillamook County. Tillamook County, again, we're not a podunk county. We are a pretty advanced county for our size. And a lot of that is due to Rachel. And so I'm sure she passed along a lot of her knowledge at NACO for other counties to learn. So it works both ways. And it's terrific.
That's great. All right. Thank you both. Board announcements. The Commissioners will hold a board briefing today, Wednesday, July 26, 2023 at 2 p.m. to discuss weekly Commissioner updates. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook, Oregon. The teleconference number is 971-254-3149, conference ID 736-023-979. There is no board meeting or board briefing scheduled for Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. The Commissioners will be attending and participating in events at the Tillamook County Fair. The Commissioners will attend a Forest Trust Land Advisory Committee on Thursday, August 11th, 2023 at 10 a.m. The conference number is 669-900-6833, conference ID 987-458-38963. And you can find those announcements on the website on the Commissioners page. And with that, I think this meeting is adjourned at 9:48.